Happy New Year's, everyone. This is going to be our New Year resolution episode. This is Ainoa with In Lieu of Murder. And
This is Amanda. And yeah, we're going to do it in a New Year's episode, y'all. So let's have a little bit of fun. Let's talk a little bit about us and what the new year has to bring, I guess. And we'll start there.
all right.
So, for starters, I have bells. That's all.
You have jingle balls in your head.
Love it.
Who doesn't love some jingle balls?
Right? So we've decided for the end of the year that we're going to do a little episode about us because we've gotten a lot of questions about us and people that have reached out just wanting to know a little bit more about us because we never really did anything about that. We just kind of dove right into our In Lieu of Murder life. So I think you should start, Ainoa.
Thanks. About us. Actually, I want to touch on how we started this podcast. I think it took us, if you guys must know, it took us probably, we spent the first 3 months of the podcast Bill, before we started trying to figure out a name.
Listen, and so the original name we had came up with, just so you know, I told that person about it. And they were extremely disappointed that we didn't name our podcast that.
Oh, my cat again. She, she's part
Every
of the podcast.
time we're on the podcast, she comes on here and tries to ruin something. She's
Yes.
like in lieu of, she's gonna knock that down.
She's in lieu of murder mascot.
She's in lieu of murder, all right. I'm telling you, she walks around terrorizing that house. But originally we were gonna name it Don't Date George.
Yes, because I feel like we've had some terrible relationships, both of us. And at first, instead of like true crime, I think we wanted to do like relationship advice because we never take ours. So I feel like we both give great advice. We just never take it.
Listen, I used to call Ainoa for advice and she'd give me phenomenal advice. And I'd be like, but I'm not going to do that. So what do I really do? It's like, I'm not going to leave him. So like, should I put some arsenic in his cereal? Like, I don't.
No, like seriously, like first I feel like when we call each other, you'd tell me or I would tell you what we should logically do, and then we would I would tell you what I would do, which is what you're probably going to do because we're not going to do the logical thing. So at first we wanted to do like a relationship advice type of column or podcast, I would say, because it's not a newspaper. But then we came across the In Lieu of Murder name, mainly because I wanted to stop cigarettes and I wanted to maybe do like I think it was a blog or something called In Lieu of Cigarettes, for like in the mornings. And then Amanda was like, "Oh, what if we do In Lieu of Murder?" And it kind of sounded cool, so I was like, "All right."
Yeah, the name part was the hardest part of us starting. Well, in full retrospect, for those of you that don't know, both of us have ADHD. So I can't say that the name was the hardest part because everything was the hardest part in starting the podcast. Not because we didn't want to do it, but anyone who has ADHD out there knows when you want to do something, you want to do it and you'll work at it forever.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get distracted and you do this and you do that and you do that and you do this. And so it took us some time to get up and running.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest, if it wasn't for you, Amanda, that pushed for getting all like the account set up and everything set up, my ass would have never done it because I would have procrastinated till like the end of time. I would be like, the 80 something years old saying, I'm gonna start my podcast soon.
So and I'm gonna put this out there and so that people understand. I had a podcast previous.
Mm-hmm.
So I have been podcasting for the last year and a half anyways. And I say year and a half prior to us starting our podcast. And I took a break off for the summer to deal with some health issues that I have. And we'll get there when we talk a little bit more about ourselves. But podcasting is the first part of the dream that I have that I've been working hard towards accomplishing. So my first podcast didn't go as planned. And if anything, it started to feel like kind of a burden because I wasn't discussing the things I wanted to discuss. I didn't have things in order the way I wanted them in order. I didn't have an intro. I didn't have a background. I didn't have an outro. I barely had a leg to stand on, but that was also my first rodeo. Mm-hmm. And so I knew what I didn't want out of I Know and Mai's podcast. And I knew what I did want out of it. And every time I talk to y'all, I hear the bells and it's messing with my brain. So
just stop moving your head. Just don't move your head.
It moves when I talk. How do people just keep their head still? Okay, so I'm going to try. So with that being said, I can't do it. So with that being said, when me and I Noah started discussing our podcast, it was a lot of, well, hey, do you know how to do this? Or, hey, do we have a program that can help us do this? Or, hey, do you know anybody we can like hire to do this? And do you have any money for it? Like that's kind of how our podcast started. So it did take some time to get off the ground running. But I will tell you, I've never been more proud of something that other people may find really mundane or stupid to be proud of. But we've done it. We have a professional type podcast, regardless of how professional we are. And it works for us.
Yeah. And I feel like, to me, honestly, of course, I want to make like $1 million and get, I don't really want to get famous. I would just want the money from the podcast. But realistically, we knew with so many podcasts being out there, like that's like a super popular thing to do. We knew that it may take some time. And I just honestly enjoy hanging out with Amanda. I mean, I just enjoy doing it.
She's lying.
I do enjoy doing it. I would enjoy it way more, and it would really, one of my resolution is that everyone that listens to me here today goes to YouTube and subscribes.
I don't know if you can make that a resolution. No, I don't think your resolution is allowed to depend on other people.
Please help my dreams come true. All I want for Christmas is you. Like, right, is it? Is you to go like and subscribe.
But that's so true because when we first started, we were like, we know this is going to take work. We know it's going to take time. We put ourselves out there from day one and we just started. And we work diligently to get everything done and do everything that we can around some really crazy hours. And I know a lot of you don't necessarily know that, but I Noah and I are on different coasts.
Mhm.
So I'm over on the East Coast. She's over on, I was about to say the North Coast, on the West Coast. I don't know what the North Coast is. And so we have to work with each other's schedules, each other's lives, and and everything else that comes with that. Um, and so we've literally fought to make this work from day one because we
Mhm.
both wanted it that bad, you know, and that's really what it comes down to.
Yep, basically. So now that you guys know how we started this whole thing and how passionate we are about you guys going to like and subscribe and
Do it
um
now. End of episode. Have a great year. I'm just
yes.
kidding, y'all.
I think maybe we can start talking a little bit about ourselves. Or maybe I should ask you a question. Amanda, do you have anything that you would like to tell the world, America?
Oh, yes.
How
I
would
would
you
like.
make America great again?
Oh, that's easy. Um, Drop the president,
Like on its head?
like in
Drop
a
him.
pot of spaghetti or something. I don't really
And
know,
are we
but
talking about the current president or the
all of them,
incoming? All
all
of
of
the
them.
presidents.
It's in sync, just like that. Just boop, 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 boop.
I already
Um,
told you I vote for Martha and Snoop Dogg to be president and vice president of the United States of America. If anybody out there hearing
Listen,
is
y'all,
hearing this,
I'm starting to think I might run. I was reading the qualifications to run for president, and you just got to be over 35. You got to lived in the US for 14 years, and you got to be a natural born citizen. I got all three of those.
mhm,
I
yeah.
mean, what's the worst that could happen?
Sorry if I'm looking to the side, it's because I think my cat was gonna start playing the piano.
She's lying, y'all. She lives with little people or something. But
Um,
on a serious note, like, you know, y'all, a little about me. I live in the North Georgia mountains. There's nothing here except mountains. Um,
interesting.
there's a couple of people. I think my direct town has like 900 and the population's like 970.
That's
Um,
little.
so there's nothing going on where I live, but I came out here, you know, on purpose. It wasn't oh, let me just move out here. It wasn't just because of like my dad's passing. It was more because it was like, dang man, I've spent my whole life in cities. And not my whole life, but a lot of my life in cities. And it has never really worked for me. Maybe it's time for me to slow down a little bit. And I kind of did it at the perfect time for myself. Because in 2021, I started getting really, really sick. Um, I say a lot, y'all. I'm sorry. It's my brain. I just did it again. Sorry. So in 2021, I started getting really sick. When I began getting really sick, I had no idea what was going on. As time progressed and they started to figure some things out, the only thing they were able to really figure out is that I have an autoimmune condition. They don't know which one. Um, but it has created a problem in my body called hypogammaglobulinemia. And more or less, this is a rare condition with immunoglobins that makes it so my body does not make enough immunoglobins to live properly. So if you get a cold, your body is going to fight your cold off. If I get a cold, it's going to turn into pneumonia, and then my body's going to try to fight it off. So it's like any infection you give me is going to be worse than my body, and I'm going to have to try to fight it off without the immunoglobins to do so. So it makes every sickness that I come across almost detrimental to my health. And in turn, that has made me have to change a lot of who I am and what I do as a person. I work in an industry that is very face to face. And although that industry has worked with me the last 6 months, they probably won't work with me forever. So it's kind of changed a lot of what I do and a lot of how I think. I don't get to just randomly go to concerts. I can't go out with my friends to large functions anymore because while you look at, oh man, that's going to be so much fun, da da da, there's all these people there, I have to look at, okay, 1,000 people to you might sound fun, but to me, it sounds like 1,000 germs that killed me. The disorder I have, feel free to look up. It is a life shortening disorder because of the lack of ability to fight off sickness. So in all those terms, it changed my entire existence as I say as a person. But I mean, it really did. It changed everything about me and who I was because I had to adjust to make sure that I can live as long as I can. So besides that, I mean, I work full time in property management. I am a published writer. I have 2 books that are available on Amazon. And I live a very quiet, I'd say quaint. I don't really know if I know what that word means, but I live a very quiet life in the middle of the mountains, and I have a significant other. He is 1,000% supportive of every single thing that I do. And that's it. I don't have kids. I have a dog, a very old dog. That's it. That's my life. What
Well,
about
well, actually, I have a question for you. So you say I already knew this, but you do property management. Um, when you were a kid, did you have like a when I grow up, I want to be moment or
Yeah, in 1st grade, I wanted to grow up and be a giraffe. I wrote an entire book about it, because nobody told me you couldn't cross species. It was super disappointing when I found out I couldn't be a giraffe as an adult. So that was the beginning of my disappointment in life.
I mean, you had high aspirations. You didn't just
Literally.
literally, yeah.
No, my entire life I wanted to be a writer. And I will tell you, like with the publishing of my first book, I felt like I absolutely accomplished the world because most people say, oh, yeah, I'm going to write a book someday. And they just don't ever do it because writing a book is a lot of work and it's really hard. And so when I published my first book, I was like, I did it. That was my dream was to be a writer. I know that some people might be like, oh, well, you accomplished your dream then. Yeah, well, I mean, when you say things like that, you say it like, I want to make money off of my writing. And no one told me that, like, you wouldn't publish your first book and then you'd have to, like, market it too. So, I didn't know all those things. I just thought that, if you're a writer, you write the book and then you turn it in and then you just get $1 million. I didn't really think that. I knew that it worked a lot differently than that. However, my thought process was if I can just get that first book out there, someone's going to notice me. And it didn't work like that. I didn't get $1 million. I, sold quite a few copies, but not enough to like quit my job. So
Yeah, but it's important that you put it out there because to be honest with you, I feel like most of life is you get more rejections than yeses. I feel like all artists know that that you'll get like 1,000 no's before you get a yes. So the fact that you were brave enough to put it out there, regardless of whether or not it was going to be successful, you're done with the fucking hat, right?
Yeah. No, the noise is driving me crazy.
That says a lot about who you are as a person because for instance, I will overthink things so much that I will never put anything out there because I will overthink it. Like when I had the idea about making marshmallows, Amanda, my pantry still has everything I need to make marshmallows. And like I bought
I
everything.
need to hold on. You got to clarify that, y'all. She's not talking about making she's talking about making fancy marshmallows, not just like making marshmallows. She wasn't just
No,
gonna like, make a bag of marshmallows and put them out there. They were gonna be
no, no,
fancy,
no. Yeah, gourmet fancy marshmallows with like different flavors and like figurines and like, the
right?
piping marshmallows. Cause, you know, um, yeah, I still have everything. And I never I always have these ideas of what I'm gonna do, and then I never actually go through with them. I just get everything that I need to go through with them and just never actually do it.
That is like regular ADHD. That is, we buy everything we need to start something, and then we decide we don't want to do that.
Yeah. No, and the thing is I do wanna still do it, and I'll,
But now
like,
you got
look
to
up
find the time, and
yeah. No, but I do have the time, to be honest with you. It's just that I think of all the dishes that I'm going to accumulate when I'm doing and I'm like, "Oh, I don't wanna do that." So, I just, yeah, I don't do it. So, I think you should be really proud of yourself for putting yourself out there even if it wasn't going to
what did
be
you want to be when you grew up? Did you want to be a marshmallow maker?
well, no, I did not. I wanted to be I love animals. Anybody that knows me knows that. The other day, for instance, I feel like I could have been kidnapped because I love animals. And some, well, I do Uber, and because um hmm, my husband, I guess, is in the military, so he's away all the time. So having a 9 to 5 schedule is really, really challenging with like a special needs kid and just stuff like that. So I do Uber Eats and I do DoorDash and all that stuff. And so I went to deliver to this lady's house, and she was like, "The vegetables are for my animals." Now she opened the door. She was like, "You can look." And so I peeked in and she's like, "You can come in if you want." And I was like,
And she did.
"Sure. Yes." "Sure, let me go into your house. I don't know you lady, strange lady. Let me go into your house right now." And then
I'll
she
come right
like
in.
she's
Get the
like, "Come."
chloroform ready.
And she had like the thing is she had all these terrariums, right? But she was like, "Look at them." And I was like, "I can't see them." She's like, "Come a little closer." And so I my dumbass, I'm like, "Ooh, let me see." And she did pull one out. It was like a bearded dragon, but a baby, put it in my hand. And then she was a really, really, full disclosure, nice lady. She let me pet
Right.
her chameleons and stuff like that. I did not get kidnapped. She did not have any ill intentions. But I realized then, man, when I left, I was like, that could have gone terribly wrong. I could have literally
Yeah,
been
I could be doing
tased.
an
Like
exclusive about your murder right now.
exactly. Like I that was a stupid thing for me to do, to just go into somebody's house. So I wanted to be a veterinarian when I was a kid, and then I realized that I couldn't save every animal that would come into my practice and that some of them would die. And I did not want to deal with the death of
Maybe
animals.
that's why we grew up to become best friends, is because you wanted to be a vet and I wanted to be a giraffe.
Giraffe. Yes, I was gonna take care of you. But yeah, so after that, I decided that my next dream job would have been becoming a lawyer because I like to argue. Um, yeah, but then as I grew older, I realized that lawyers have to read a lot, and I was like, "Can I get like a video form of this?" Because
Can I watch this lesson in a movie, please?
yes, can I just need season 1, 2, and 3, or all this, but I don't want to do all this reading shit. Um, so yeah, that was yeah, my second dream job when I was a kid. Um, but yeah, neither of them are what I did
Well, I
because
mean, and after the giraffe thing, like once that was explained to me, I remember saying that I wanted to grow up and be a teacher. Um, but full disclosure, y'all, I don't really care for kids. Um, And maybe it's because I don't have any, so I don't, they say that your tolerance for children changes when you have kids because, you understand a little bit more about, I don't know, I guess why they cry so much. Um, but
That sounded really mean. And I'll tell you that that is not true because when I started college to become like to become a teacher, I had my kid and he was young, and we would go to parks, and after being around the children, I realized I was like, I can't be a teacher. I can't be around these little seeds, these creatures
and that's
every
my thing
fucking
is I don't
day.
agree with how everybody raises their kids.
Exactly. So no,
And
after I had
apparently it's
kids,
not common practice to discipline someone else's child.
no, you shouldn't do
And
that.
yeah, well, then don't leave your kid around me.
Listen,
Oh
my
yeah,
kid
for real.
can fight for herself. Like
Yes, listen, I know his kid beat the crap out of me, y'all, just so we're clear. When like 3 years ago, when she was younger. So,
yeah, so my kid can throw hands. I'm not
yes.
afraid of leaving her around you or anyone.
But and it's
Um,
different with like my friends' kids. My friends' kids don't bother me, but that's usually because, my friends typically raise their kids the same way that I would have raised my kids. That's why they're my friends. We have a lot of the same views,
mhm.
so that doesn't, I don't know. I just being around too many kids at one time. And that's my thing. Like if it's just one or two, it doesn't bother me. But you put me in front of 16 kids, I'm gonna go to prison. So life would have turned out really differently for me if I was a teacher.
Hey, you can still become president, so don't let
Right.
that keep you.
No, I know. I mean, a felony will never hold me back now.
No, but yeah, no, I can say I love my kids. I have two, and I do love them, but they do piss me off. I don't always like them all the time. Um, yeah, and I'm with you on the not liking children part. I do like my friends' kids, but then I don't like old. They overwhelm me. I get
I just
overwhelmed
said I
by
don't have any
children.
kids. So what friends' kids do you like? Are you admitting on camera that you have other friends?
Hey, didn't you admit on camera that you had other friends?
Nope.
Yes, you did.
Who?
Oh, oh, I. Anyways, back to the to another question. So Amanda, what is your biggest fear?
Ooh. Can you answer first while I gather my answer?
Yes, I can because I stole your question. I knew you wanted to ask me that
I
question, but
did.
then
So
I
I was
blanked.
like, okay.
I'm a little thief. You can't tell me any intel. I will, steal it. Um, my biggest fear, I think I shouldn't. I don't know. It's weird. I'm not afraid to die, and you already know this. But so I'm afraid of losing people. And it all started, I think, when I was little. My mom was sick, and this woman, I remember her telling me, and I'm like 6 years old, I'm gonna die soon. But
Her
so
mother is fine, y'all.
my mom's fine, yes. She's gonna die soon. This was like 40 years, not 40, but 30 years ago that she told me she was gonna die soon. Um and then but it didn't really hit me until my dad, or well, he's my stepdad, but I called him dad, passed away. And when he passed away, it felt so weird. Like it felt like everyone was moving like normal. But I don't know how to explain. It's almost like time had stopped for me, and I was in, like, everything was in slow motion. Like I would be out in like a coffee shop or whatever, and I would see people laughing and talking, and going about their day like nothing's changed.
And for
And
you, your
I
life was shattered.
yeah, for me, my life was fucking shattered, and I didn't understand. It was felt such a like emptiness inside, and I don't know. Like I think that was the first time that I felt like I had lost someone. So it hit me. The pain of losing someone really fucking hit me, and I overthink everything. So then you start thinking, well, is this what my kids are gonna feel when I'm gone? And is this I don't when my mom's gone, I don't want to feel this. Like this is not a feel. I hate this fucking feeling. I don't want my mom to go. Um, I don't I don't want the people that I love to go because it's such a sucky fucking feeling. So I
Mhm.
think I'm not afraid of death per se, but I'm afraid of people dying. People that I care about dying. And afraid of what that's gonna do to my kids too. Like, I mean, I presume that they love me enough that they would feel the same way I did when my dad died.
Right.
Maybe they don't. Maybe by
Yeah, we'll
maybe
see.
maybe by the time I die, I've messed them up so much that they're like, "Fuck, thank God she's fucking gone.
Finally.
Finally, fucking leave." But
No, I doubt that.
yeah, no. But that's my biggest fear, honestly. And you?
Well, prior to 2021, my biggest fear was not being able to become successful enough to make my parents proud.
Mhm,
But I also think that back then I was focused on success as being financial instead of it being a mental or emotional thing. I
mhm,
can tell you that I know at the point that my dad passed, I had made him proud. And it definitely wasn't financial. So, um, and then after 2021, once I started figuring out how sick I was and what was wrong with me, my fear kind of goes hand in hand with I Noah's fear. And my fear is that at the point that whatever powers to be decide that it's my time to go, that I there's two fears that come into play with that. Number one, that I'm just going to be forgotten. And I know, of course, like my family and friends will never forget me, but how long will it take for them to forget my laugh? And how long will it take them to forget, you know, what my humor might have been back to whatever situation they said? So that's one of them. And the other fear is that I didn't make a big enough impact on society to actually change anything in the world today. To, benefit the future. And I know like I'm not leaving, I don't have children or anything like that. So there's nothing I'm not leaving behind a child motherless or anything like that. So that does make me feel positive. But did I make enough of an impact to make sure that my future nephews and my niece have, a better world than I had? So, and I think that a lot of older people start to go through that when they get closer to dying, like, hey, what impact did I have on the world to make it better for the next generation? So, and I think that, just with my diagnosis and stuff, it's kind of forced me to think about things like that. Because I don't remember a time I've ever thought about that until they were like, hey, this is life shortening and here's what the average person lives to. Um, and so it makes you kind of look at life differently. But
mhm.
I think that we have the same fear. So I think honestly, you were, I don't want to say ahead of me because nobody should think about how their death is going to make people around them feel. But I feel like, you already had that instilled in you. Now, mind you, I've seen a lot of death in my life, and I strangely deal with death very, very well. Um, and I don't know why. It I would love to tell you it's a superpower, but I think it's because people with ADHD freak out over things that they cannot control on a typical basis. But in midst of emergency or in midst of chaos, people with ADHD are, you know, medium toned, level, and they are able to handle it. And I think that's why I've always dealt with death so well.
Mm.
Yeah.
On that note, I just want to take this time to say, please like and subscribe so Amanda can make an impact on the world. Thank
Yes.
you.
Y'all can help me make the impact that needs to be made. Sorry, y'all. Something's going on in my house. And for what?
We're gonna, if anything, let us guilt trip you into liking and subscribing.
Y'all look it up. Hypogammaglobulinemia. You'll see how long I got left.
Amanda
right.
cried. Amanda cried a little bit. I saw it. We all saw it. The world saw it. Like and subscribe.
And if that's the only impact I can make, then y'all suck. No, I'm just kidding.
So what is
No, my
something
turn
that
for a question.
oh shit, sorry.
Gosh, you
so
already stole my
aggressive.
question. I don't even have a question. Okay. What is the one thing in your life that you, not that you regret, that you wish you would have handled differently?
Ooh, the one thing in my life that I wish I would have handled differently. Everything. Honestly, okay, so the one thing in my life that I wish I would have handled differently, school. Um, I think I wish I would have handled the process of like going through school, and I'm not talking about college or anything like that because I dropped out obviously. I'm talking about like the high school years. I wish that I would have been more focused on those years instead of thinking so much ahead. Like, instead of thinking of what I'm going to do when I get out of high school or how much money I'm going to make or like and I should have focused on that moment. I should have been in the moment. I should have enjoyed things like that I would have wanted to do. And I think we talked about this recently, like maybe joining theater or joining band, or I think some things that fulfilled me. I think I was so focused on, making money that instead of finishing up, because I was in auto collision, like, they have like those trade classes in high school. So I was like an auto collision repair at the shop because I like I love cars and I love painting cars and all that and fixing them up. But I finished 1 year and I didn't finish the second year. I didn't do the second year because was doing the work to school program or school to work program. Yeah, school to work, where you get out of school early, so I could either do the trade school or the go to work. And I really wanted to have money in my pocket at that time. I was, not thinking ahead. I was thinking ahead in the wrong ways, I guess.
Right.
Um and so I wish that that would have been different. I think I wish I would have enjoyed I wish I would have been a kid and did the things that kids do and not think about maybe getting married and finding love and having a decent stable job working insurance or just enough to just be happy. I wish I would have had bigger dreams because I didn't. But yeah, that's my one regret, I guess. Thing that I would have done differently.
Okay,
And
your
you?
question. Nope. Thing I would have changed if I could. So this is hard. A lot of these questions are really hard for me because my life changed. Like all of my decisions in my life changed at the moment I found out I was sick. So 5 years ago, if you'd asked me this question, I would have said I would have left my daughter's father sooner than I did, because then maybe my daughter would be here. But now I would feel bad if she was here, because I would leave her in this world alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that would make me feel more guilty. So now I would have to say that if I would have done anything differently, I would have never gone into management.
Okay. Is there a reason why, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in management roles for most of my adult careers, and I can tell you that there is not an amount of money that they could pay me now to do half the jobs I've done in my past, because they were so time consuming. I missed so many moments with my family, like Christmases and Thanksgivings and things like that, because I had to work and I took my career so seriously, because it's whenever I'm not doing well mentally, or I'm just super emotional, or I'm angry, I work more. It's how I don't deal with my emotions. And I've always been like that, because work is the only stable factor in this brain of mine. So I've always just dove right into work as deep as I could. You can ask Noah. I mean, a week after I lost my daughter, I was back at work, because it's easier to work than to be at home in my own brain. So I think that if I could change anything, I would have never taken the management jobs. I'd have taken the BS jobs that maybe paid a little bit less, but didn't leave me in charge of so much, so that I wasn't required by a company to be responsible when things went wrong.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. This was my question or your question? This was your question. So, my question to you is, have you ever ghosted anyone?
Yep. Enough said. No, I don't want to. I've gotten ghosted way more than I've ghosted people.
Left in the hood.
I will also call out a ghost. Like, I remember being ghosted, and this was a few years back. But I was ghosted by a guy that supposedly died. And then I saw him on TikTok. And so I literally like commented on his thing and called him Casper, like, "Oh my gosh, you're back from the dead." Because yeah, no, so I don't like to ghost people. And I will try not to the first time. Like, I will try to tell you, like, hey, you know, this whatever you think this is, it's not that. Or I'm not interested, or hey, I'm dealing with someone else. And if they don't get the hint, I'm sorry. You're getting blocked. I'm going to disappear off the face of the earth. And if you think I'm not smart enough to go in and block you on everything, you're wrong. Because I will take an extra hour of my time to block you on TikTok and Instagram and by email and everything. I will block you on Cash App. You're not even going to send me $1 to ask me how I'm doing.
Yep.
So, what about you?
I have ghosted, and I wanted to ask you this after, because there was like a two-part question: is have your views on ghosting changed? Because I feel like when I was younger, I ghosted. But I really feel bad about this guy that I ghosted, because he was actually the sweetest fucking dude ever. He was super hot. I was super into him, but then he got arrested and went to jail over something so stupid. It was like his third DUI, because he had a problem with alcohol. But he was like a really
so stupid.
Yeah, well, I was in the car with him. It was so stupid, because we had gotten home, and then he really wanted a burrito from the gas station, and he was doing like 60 on a 40 in fucking Hanahan. And yeah. So, so when he went to jail, at first it was like I was all there, and then time kept passing and passing, and instead of, talking to him and telling him, "Hey, I think, I can't do this right now." I just straight up started ignoring him, and he wanted to meet his grandmother. He wanted me to, like, I had met his sister. He was honestly, if it wasn't because of the drinking problem, he he was the type of dude that I needed, like, my car was down or I needed something. He was right the fuck there. He's the one dude that, even despite his problems, like, I shouldn't have fucking fucked over. And I feel like I totally fucked him over. Mainly because I was too immature to deal with the emotions that he was gonna have. It was like
Mhm.
too much of a hassle. I was too immature and I didn't want to deal with it. I was like, if I pretend that it just never happened, then it'll go away. Um,
So, is it considered ghosting in a long-term relationship if you just leave?
yeah, I think so. I think that's considered
Then
ghosting if
you a
you just.
professional ghost. I don't care what nobody says.
But then as an adult person, like, because I feel like at that age I wasn't an adult. I feel like I don't ghost people. I think I've matured and I don't like ghosting people. Like, before I met my husband, I was dealing with somebody else, and when I met my husband, I was like, okay, this is something that I want to have seriously. I talked to the guy. I said, "Hey, can you come over so we can talk?" And he came over, we talked. I told him, "Hey, I met this other person, and this has been fun. We weren't anything serious in the first place, but I just wanted to talk to you face to face and tell you that, I don't want to continue seeing you in any, romantic manner anymore." Cuz I mean, I feel it was the right thing to do. I feel like, okay, I'm an adult now and I can handle difficult conversations. I don't think anybody over the age of 27, um, just to put out a number, should be ghosting people. I think you should be mature enough to say, "Hey," unless it's like a stalker person, right? But I think you should be mature enough to say, "Hey, um, this isn't it. This isn't it for me. I don't want to do this anymore." You don't even have to give reasons, but tell them face to face.
I'm gonna tell you something that I completely disagree with what you're saying.
Okay,
And
why?
that's because how many cases do you see of people that get murdered because they had that last conversation with somebody?
Okay, well, maybe not face to face. If you think that that's that bad, I mean, if you think the dude that you're saying it to is that fucking dangerous, then just send him a fucking message.
Uh,
Or don't send him a message and just fucking.
and
But
I'm not
that
telling people to ghost people. I don't want you to think that. I'm just saying that, I
Amanda's gonna start
also
a.
no, but I feel like as adults, okay, you're an adult, I'm an adult.
Mhm,
You know when you've done something wrong, and you know how offensive that thing you did wrong is. I don't think
mhm,
it's my job to call and tell you, hey, when you called me up, whatever, you crossed the line that you shouldn't have crossed, and we're never going to talk again. No, at that point, I am going to cut you off. I am going to walk away, and I'm not going to say another thing to you only because I feel
mhm,
like as an adult, I no longer have to explain myself if you're acting like a child. Now, if it's a situation like you just went, like you were talking about, like I was talking to two people and I made my decision, then yes, of course I would, hey, but I mean, those two people would have known the whole time because if I'm going to be that open about it, if
mhm.
I'm not going to hide it, those two people would know and I'd be like, hey, I made my decision. But when it comes like just ghosting in general, I feel like we're all adults and people know when they do things that have crossed lines. And it drives me crazy when those same people that know that they crossed the line are like, well, I at least deserve an explanation. No, you don't. You don't deserve my time. You don't deserve my breath. And you sure as hell don't deserve my explanation because you know what you did wrong.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, okay, and if the other person did something wrong, I get it. But like, for instance, in my instance, right, the guy that I ghosted, he didn't really do anything wrong. I kept talking to him after he went to jail. The only thing that happened is that I lost
I
interest
think it's funny that you keep referencing the guy that you ghosted like he's the only one.
because I feel like I fucked up. I feel like all my bad karma in relationships probably comes from that fucking situation.
Call him.
Mm, no.
Hey, I'm back alive.
But no, I have deep regrets for doing that because I feel like every time somebody's like my romantic life like gets fucked up, I'm like, man, I should have never fucking ghosted that motherfucker. I should have just kept talking to him or just, you know, told him, like gone to see him and like in between a glass, say, hey, so
But
this will be
listen,
my
there's
last
a
time here.
reason you avoided that situation. For all you know, he's out there drunk abusing his wife right now.
He ain't. He's not. And because he
How do you know
actually
that?
a few years back, but later. So this was back, but later in time. He's actually working like in construction, and he went to fix my mom's house. And he went there with his like wife and a little kid that they had. And even though that my mom knew who he was and he knew who my mom was, he was like super like sweet and super like polite and like I don't know, he was a fucking great dude, to be honest with you. He was a great dude, Amanda.
Okay, but I hear what you're saying. But as you're saying he's a great dude, you're telling us it was his third DUI.
Because he had issues. He was actually kicked out of the Marines because of alcohol.
Right.
He had
So he was a
demons to
great
deal with,
person that was an alcoholic.
possibly an alcoholic.
I'm just saying, like, you know, what you feel is a great person, another, and I'm not saying me, because I mean, I come from a family of addicts, not in that way, but you know, I grew up Irish, so everybody I know is drunk. But other people would say, well, no, I mean, he was an alcoholic, so you shouldn't feel, and that's what I'm saying is everybody in the moment does things that they're going to regret later, you know, but as far as ghosting,
I don't
I
know. I
don't
feel like in that situation, I was in the wrong. Hmm?
I don't feel bad for a single person I've ghosted.
I feel bad for him. I feel not bad for him, but I feel bad for myself. I guess is like I feel bad for having done
That's
it.
only because you're not in your happiest point in life, you know what I mean? When you get to that point in life when you have the perfect everything, or, you know, well, I don't know if you really get there. I
That
haven't
doesn't
gotten to that life
exist.
yet. But when you get to the point where you're satisfied with everything in your life, maybe you
Mhm.
should ask yourself then if you still feel the same way.
I think
You
I
know what I
still
mean?
would.
I don't think you would.
I think I still would. I because I've had like satisfied moments in my life after this whole thing happened, and I've
Okay,
still
have you had a satisfied relationship?
a satisfying relationship. I mean, for a moment, for moments, yes. So yeah, but I don't know. Ghosting, don't do it if you're over the age of 27.
Such a specific age, but we're officially making it 27, y'all. 27, we're too grown to be ghosting people now.
Mhm. We are too grown. But well, that was my question. Do you what's yours? I think we have
My
time for a couple
question
more.
is, well, no, I'm gonna make this easy. What's your New Year's resolution for 2025?
I think I've given up. Every year, I write my resolutions in a piece of paper, because this is like a family tradition. But I write what I want in a piece of paper, and I like burn it every year. I hold it in my shoe
Hold
throughout
on.
the
Hold on. You burn it?
Yeah, so I write my resolutions on a piece of paper and I hold it in my shoe the entire time I'm having dinner on New Year's. And then at the end of the night, I take that piece of paper and I burn it. And with the
Did your
hope,
mom teach you this?
Yes, with the hopes that after burning it, the ashes will create new life and they will go into the ether and then my dreams will come true. Well, so far I'm still not a fucking millionaire. I haven't
Probably because
married.
you keep burning all of your resolutions. You know that in witchcraft, it's considered when you burn something, it's considered making sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah. Well, this my mom says is backwards, okay? So, yeah, so far not a millionaire. Um Ryan Gosling hasn't proposed marriage. Um uh, so yeah, this for this year, I don't I don't know
Well,
if I'm
this year,
making
can you
any.
not burn your resolution, please? Maybe it'll like help some.
Maybe I will try that. I will do an experiment. I will put part of my resolutions on a piece of paper and then part of my other resolutions and another piece of paper and I'll burn one and not the other and see which comes true.
Okay, and
Um
don't leave it in your shoe the entire year either.
okay, I won't leave it in my shoe the entire year, but I guess if I had one for this coming year, it would be to um to stop second guessing myself so much.
That is a really good resolution for you. I mean, it's a really
Yeah,
good resolution in general, but I know you personally. So, no, I think that'd be a phenomenal resolution for you.
yeah. And try ayahuasca. Ayahuasca. I would like to try ayahuasca. Yeah.
Y'all should look that up if you don't know what it is. We're not going to explain it because I go back and forth about whether or not it's a cult. Um, but I definitely think it's something worth trying to. I really do. So, I mean, y'all
Mm.
let us know when we all want to go as a group and get a group right. Okay.
Yeah, we could do it in lieu of murder ayahuasca party. I mean, if you guys like and subscribe, maybe we can get there. So do that.
Right. I mean, it could be an in person murder
Mhm.
mystery if we're not careful.
I know we could set up a trip, a retreat, and like we can, you guys can. That would be pretty cool, actually. See if anybody
We'll
ends up
talk more
murdered.
about this in 2025. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's a trip we can plan in lieu of murder trip, ever to a retreat for ayahuasca. But how about you? Do you have any resolutions for 2025?
Um, my New Year's resolution is to be more patient with myself with things that I cannot control. And that's just me in general. I'm a very right now, get this done right now, figure this out right now kind of person. And
Hmm.
especially when it comes to like test results and things like that, that's beyond my control. I can't force them to test my blood, at 11 o'clock at night and have the results to me by 6 a.m. So, um, I want
Yeah,
to be more patient with myself because I'm honestly my worst enemy and the thing that stresses me out the most. It's me. I'm the problem. And I know
it's
that.
me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
Um, and I know that. And I really want to do better because I feel like if I could be more patient with myself, it'll help me to be more patient with people around me. Um, especially in situations I can't control, which is a lot of life just in general, for most of us. Um, I just realized that for me, that's my biggest downfall in being the person that I want to be the rest of my life. So, yeah, that's
Yeah.
my resolution, and I would say, "Oh, and it's to do this or to do that," but y'all, I mean, everybody makes resolutions every year. I'm only gonna go to gym for the first 30 days. I'm not really gonna quit smoking. I'm not gonna make all those resolutions, and I'm really not gonna do.
Yeah, that's why. Mm,
So, at this point, I just wanna be the best human I can be for me and my family and my friends, and so I'm just gonna stick with personality resolutions.
yeah, me too. That's why another thing maybe that I would like to add to mine is that I've been trying to get my other self that wakes up at 5 a.m. to wake up at 5 a.m. and that self does not want to wake up at 5 a.m. So I'm trying to be the self that wakes up early and has, a morning routine instead of just zombieing around the house with a cup of coffee, just trying to wake up and then rushing everything. So yeah, waking up at 5 a.m. That's probably normal for some people.
I mean, it has to be because my brain wakes myself up the latest at 7 a.m.
I read one time that millionaires or like highly successful people have a precise like morning routine. Like they wake up
Yes.
and they make their bed and they shower and they do like meditation or like journaling for like 10,
Yeah.
15 minutes.
And those same people are not required to be at work at 8 a.m.
Okay.
So they can do those things.
So that they only do those things after becoming millionaires, because then that kind of defeats the purpose of,
A lot of them do those things after they become millionaires.
Okay, to stay millionaires. So it's not going to help me.
No,
So
because you can do those things.
Like, damn it, I've been journaling for a month and I still don't have any millions. That's what I'm going to write on my journal.
That's so funny. And that's kind of being like, oh man, I ate a salad today and I still didn't lose a bunch of weight.
Yes. I've been making my bed consistently. Why? Where's the money?
On a sappy note, I do want to just kind of go out of my way and say, thank y'all to those of you that did watch our podcast and share our podcast and like and subscribe this year. We want all of you to have the best New Year. And like, subscribe, share this with your friends, and tell us what your New Year's resolution is.
Yes. Happy New Year's. Enjoy the fun in lieu of murder. We're number one.